More than 6 months after the Houthi insurgent group in Yemen started disrupting maritime traffic in the Red Sea, global shipping has had to come to terms with a new normal. Delays, derangements, and higher costs are just getting worse. This is despite the efforts of the US, British, and European navies that have been on station the whole time attempting to counter the Houthi threat. But so far, they've not met with much success. That the world's premier navies, from America to Europe, appear to be struggling to subdue a band of insurgents does raise some painful questions. What is the utility of sea power? What is the proficiency of these Western navies? And if they cannot seem to control a band of guerrillas, then what chance do they stand in any future showdown with a major rival like China? The US Navy has admitted this has been the sharpest fighting that it has had to face since World War II. And that is our top focus on Crux Decode. For the last year, the Houthis have been controlling the gateway to the Suez Canal. They've been attacking both civilian and naval ships since late last year. This is part of a campaign to try and put pressure on Israel over its war with Hamas. Commercial ships, which includes big container ships, bulk carriers, oil and gas tankers, they've all quickly been fleeing the Red Sea. They're now preferring to take the much longer but safer journey going all the way around the Cape of Good Hope in the bottom of Africa. Eight months on, the disruption to shipping has suddenly gotten a lot worse. Back in late June, Houthi attacks sank a ship, the second big ship that they've sunk since their attacks began. US Central Command's public messaging is almost a daily drumbeat of reports of US vessels who are swatting away drones and missiles. The Houthis, who've used anti-ship missiles to great effect, are now increasingly resorting to using surface drones. As a result, the costs for shipping containers have soared from what used to be around $1,500 for one container to well over $5,000. This is according to S&P Global Commodity Insights. Rates are now much higher than they have ever been. Big shipping companies that were warning a few months ago that the usual glut of ships would hamper earnings, they're now rolling in cash. Maersk, which is the world's largest shipper, has increased its profit outlook thanks to these inflated rates because of the Houthi attacks. So when a container ship diverts all the way around Africa, it increases the direct cost of shipping by adding another 10 days, lots of miles, and lots of fuel consumed. But the larger question is this: how has a band of maritime terrorists in small, impoverished country like Yemen managed to spook the global economy and also befuddle some of the world's biggest navies? These navies, the US, the British, and a rotating group of European navies, have been trying to restore normal shipping service since the start of the Houthi campaign. The war cover insurance rates for vessels passing through the Red Sea are now up 1,000% compared to the pre-conflict levels. One insurer even launched a special, first-of-its-kind war insurance for shippers who couldn't get coverage otherwise. It's a sure sign that the Western naval presence has not brought any calm to these dangerous shipping lines. But not all ships are being targeted by the Houthis. The ships that are really in the crosshairs are those that have a linkage with Israel, the United States, or any other country that is seen as generally supporting Israel in its war against Hamas. What we are also seeing is that shipping associated with countries like China, Iran, Russia, even India, to a much lesser extent, has been targeted. So part of the problem is that the two naval forces, the US and the British on the one hand, and the European Union's navies on the other, have two different missions altogether. The Anglo-American force is aiming to intercept threats and strike wherever the threat is originating on land in Yemen. The Europeans, on the other hand, have stuck very close to the straight and narrow, which is to protect merchant shipping without actually taking the fight to the Houthis. Neither approach seems to be working. The US and UK effort is to try and degrade the Houthis' ability to target shipping. That has ended up as an expensive game of whack-a-mole. the Houthis have proved to be far more mobile and better supplied. The deployments and constant interceptions have eaten into the US Navy's own magazines. In fact, so much so that congressional aides are saying that the United States is not producing nearly enough of the standard air defense missiles that are used by US escort ships in the Red Sea. It's expensive as well. The Navy and suppliers like Raytheon, one of the largest defense manufacturers in the world, are now looking to much older and cheaper substitutes to use against the Houthis. After all, the Houthis are using low-tech weapons like drones to attack ships out in the Red Sea. While on the one hand, they want to keep the high-end missiles for use in a possible future conflict with China, in the event that China were to attack Taiwan. But that message has also been diluted by actions of the US Navy in the Asia Pacific in recent weeks. The USS Eisenhower, which was due to head home after it was given 2 extensions, finally there was a replacement for the Eisenhower. At least the announcement came through last week that the USS Theodore Roosevelt will be deployed in the Red Sea. But the message that's gone across is this: it is at the cost of pulling out the USS Theodore Roosevelt, one of the largest aircraft carriers in the world, out of the South China Sea. In the South China Sea, it was showing American power in the middle of a very serious showdown between China and the Philippines, which happens to be a treaty ally of the United States. So the apparent failure of both US and European navies to try and secure the Red Sea does not necessarily call into question the utility of naval power for high-end missions, like this great power competition between China and the United States. Despite a relentless operational tempo, the US, British, and European ships have intercepted and destroyed a large number of Houthi projectiles. They've not taken any major hits themselves. It's just that they've not managed to coax commercial ships back to these dangerous waters, and that is leaving world shipping, as well as its intermittent costs, much higher than when this war began.